Hello everyone and a warm welcome to the 5th episode of the Dadaxi. I'm really happy that you're here with me today again. I'm in a lot of pain at the moment, so I don't know how long this episode will be. And also I will take a break from podcasting for the next 2 weeks, so I will be back on, I think it will be the 12th of January. So just like tomorrow in 2 weeks, or Friday in 2 weeks. And yeah, like the reason I have like this infection in my arm, I don't know the English term right now, but it's also not that important. But that's kind of what I want to make today's episode about, is pain. Because what we usually do in today's society is that as soon as pain arises, we get rid of it. And I never actually believed this to be a good idea. I mean, for sure, if the pain is really strong, it's good to take a painkiller. But first of all, it's good to find out why there is pain in the first place. Because pain, no matter if it's emotional or physical, is a sign of the body. It's actually an alarm sign, yeah? So if you have like horrendous visions of like people that you love dying or having panic attacks constantly, that's kind of an alarm signal of your astral body. That's like, hey, you are not being inspired enough. The things you consume are too much trash and not enough things that actually nurture you on a psychological and also visionary level. And then if you're anxious and we think too much all the time, and I don't mean ADHD by that, but really like because I have ADHD, and when I'm doing good and my nervous system is regulated, I don't have an issue with all the thought lanes that are in my head. It only gets too much when I get anxious, when I have a dysregulated nervous system that results in the alarm signal of the mental body in the form of anxiety that, hey, you don't get enough things that push your intellect into your system. You don't have enough talks with people that spark interest in you. You don't have enough things that you do that challenge you mentally. Yeah, and we all have different levels in that. Yeah, like I'm mentally very active, so I need a lot of challenge on the mental level. Emotionally, I can be rather underactive. I mean, I have very strong emotions, but I have even stronger thoughts. So there, it's a different thing. Like, I don't need too much emotional stimulation. Like, I don't need drama. I know people that need drama. It's kind of an inspiration for them. It makes them really feel things, no? And I feel so much that I don't necessarily need drama. But then on a mental level, I need a lot of input. I need a lot of things that interest me. I need to listen to a lot of podcasts or watch movies or documentaries that really interest me. Otherwise, I get bored and I start to judge the system too much and I start to be really unhappy with my life simply because I don't get enough input where I feel like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I want to think about that. Oh, I want to reflect on that. And when I have pain in my body, it's an alarm signal of the body, of the physical body. That's like, hey, something is wrong there. Yeah. So now I have this inflammation. It's actually not an infection. It's an inflammation in my right arm. And I know where it comes from. It's kind of like I overworked the muscles and I don't know the word right now, the English word. The things that kind of go together with the muscles. And so they hurt a lot right now. And this was kind of like one of my Achilles heels in my physical body. You can really like it. That's something important to know, that we all have these Achilles heels. Yeah, we have them in our physical body. Like these are just the parts of your body that will react the quickest. Yeah, like as soon as you are dysregulated, maybe you get a headache, or like for me, it's like these pains in my arms or pain in my neck. Like everybody has something else that reacts very quickly when something's off balance. And that's what a pain signal actually is. A pain signal only tells the brain that there is something off balance. And so when I have this inflammation in my arm and I take painkillers and I keep on moving my arm the way I want to move it because I took painkillers, so there's no pain anymore, I will most probably worsen the condition because I should not move this arm in this way at the moment because it's inflamed. And the same goes for pains of other dimensions. Let's say if I'm depressed and I just take an antidepressant, then I don't understand where the depression comes from. And I just take that, and so I don't have to feel it anymore, but it's still there. Yeah, antidepressants are not like they are not real. It's like they change people and they change personalities as much as cocaine does, actually. So I believe that, I think both of them have their place. Like also benzodiazepines, they have their place. But like with painkillers, we overdo all of these three very much in today's society. Because I know people that go to work on painkillers for like half of the year, every year. And they think that's normal. And to me, it's like, if I have pain like that, for sure, like I can work 1 or 2 days with that pain, but at some point I will stop working because my body is telling me to rest. And I will not just delete the symptoms to still be functioning in a system that is not built for an organic being like I am or like you are. And I believe that the system is actually still able to work because so many people dissociate from their pain. So many people are on painkillers, or they are on Adderall the whole day, or they are on cocaine, or they take benzos to sleep. So I believe, like, if you would take the drugs out of the picture, and I mean the illegal and the legal drugs, the system would fail already because society couldn't handle it anymore. I truly believe that most, like, very high achievers do some kind of pain killing, yeah? And pain is very important. Like, what I think always, like, kind of disturbed me the most in dealing with pain in that way is that, to me, it never was like that, like, when it hurts, I really want to go into what hurts. And that's not to identify with it, but to acknowledge it, Right now, I feel my arm so good because it hurts like hell, but I feel so many, like, muscles and, I don't know the word for it, that I normally don't feel because usually they're just there. So it's an invitation to understand how healthy I normally am and how many movements I can just do that come so natural and my body never complains. And now I overdid it. And I understand that I overdid it. And I'm super grateful to my body that it shows me so clearly. Because if it wouldn't react, then I would really hurt myself. From tattooing, we know that it hurts more where there are important organs involved. So everything you get tattooed on your torso will hurt more than on your arm. And the tattoo on your arm, if you have it close to your elbow or on the elbow, it will hurt more because wherever, like, there are connections between the bones, that's where also, like, there is a lot of potential harm that can be done. So the more dangerous a part of the body is when it would get hurt, the more it hurts when you tattoo it. So that kind of means, like, I have this pain in my arm now, and it hurts a lot because it's my right arm and I use it a lot. If that pain would be in a different area of my body, it could be that I would feel it a little bit less, simply because this part of the body isn't as important. Yeah, so I believe that when we feel emotional pain, or mental pain, or astral pain, or physical pain, it's really important to look into what created it and pause and give us the time to be with that pain. It's not comfortable, and I don't say one has to suffer, like in the moment that I can't stand it anymore, I will take a painkiller. But I don't want to take a painkiller all day, because as I said before, I will actually hurt my arm more by just moving normally. Plus, I would hurt my physical body because painkillers are not like that super cool on the body. Plus, I wouldn't pay respect to the signal that my body sends to me. And the signal is very clearly I overstepped something. So there is a big teaching in this, and there is so much of a lesson that I can take away from it when I am with the pain. And again, that doesn't mean that I have to go into that thing and then I have to suffer. But like, for sure, my nerves are a bit wrecked, and for sure, like, I'm maybe a bit more angry than I usually am because there is this pain. But still, it's a part of who I am today. And by just erasing it, I would function normally, which I actually can't, because there is this pain, there is this inflammation. And there is only pain because there is inflammation. And the inflammation is actually a good thing. Inflammation is needed for healing. So this is all good. It's just not comfortable. And the more I would take a painkiller, like, I know so many people who have what I have right now, like in a chronic way. And that's because they don't stop when their body tells them to. They're like, oh no, I'm gonna work on, because it's only my arm. I should still be working. I don't have 43 degrees of fever. Because that's how we are in Switzerland, no? We go to work almost dead. Just because we don't want to let anybody down. But anyways, I don't do that. Like, for sure I go to work, and even if my arm doesn't work, I can work like some areas of my work. I cannot maybe do all of them, but right now I can still tattoo, so that's a good thing. But like, if I wouldn't at least take a step back from other responsibilities that at the moment maybe I can really take a vacation from, like this podcast or the Enzo Elia flow sessions and stuff like that, and really take a step back and slow down a little bit, at some point I wouldn't be able to tattoo anymore. And then this would really like have a big impact on my life. And so whenever we just numb down pain, and this can also be with drug use in the weekend, or having to go somewhere every weekend and get fully drunk. Like, whatever we do to not feel pain, and we all have our coping mechanisms, we all do, even if it's sports, even if it's to go jogging, even if it's binge eating, it doesn't matter. Or like anorexia or whatever. Like, most weird or self-sabotaging habits that human beings have are due to not wanting to feel the pain. And that's so understandable, because nobody actually taught us the resources on how to deal with pain. Like, I wasn't taught that. I grew up in a society that patched the pain. And although I knew that that wasn't the way I wanted to do it, there was nobody, like no role model that I could look at, okay, that's the way you do that. And I sent an interesting newsletter out today about exactly this subject, because like, for me, it was really some Tibetan Buddhist practices that taught me how I can approach pain, especially emotional pain, because that's what I was dealing with in the past years. Like, this year there was a lot of physical pain, a lot of physical pain, but the past years it was like just a lot of emotional pain. And with these Tibetan Buddhist practices, I really learned a way of I found a resource within myself that taught me or showed me or made me capable of really dealing with pain and being with pain and sitting with pain until it transforms into something else by itself. It's like I recently read that the bison is the only animal that will actually, when there is a snowstorm coming, the bison is the only animal that will turn towards the storm and walk straight through it, because it knows that that's the quickest way to get out of the storm. And it's the only animal that does it. And the meme said that maybe there is this big lesson with this in how we as humans actually deal with pain, or how we deal with the hardships of life, yeah? Because usually we fight the storm, or we want to have it go away, or we don't even want to acknowledge that the storm is there. But what we never really do is just face the storm, be with the storm, be in the storm, and just walk straight through it, because that's actually the way to go. We already learned that about fear, no? We know today that if you're really afraid of something, it's really good to do it, because once you did it, you've proven to yourself that you can do that one thing that you were so scared of, so you can actually do anything, right? So when you face your fear, you actually win so much. And it's not actually something that you can bring up the courage for, but something that you just have to do even if you don't find the courage. And it's a bit the same with pain. And what maybe the difference is with pain, but I don't actually, maybe they are the same. Because I believe to conquer your fears, it's very important that you have somebody by your side, like a partner in crime that supports you. You have to do the journey yourself, but you need to be surrounded by people, or at least one person that supports you and believes in you and believes in the way you do things, right? Because having to do this all by yourself, I just don't believe that's true. I believe it's a myth. And the same comes to conquering pain. I don't believe it's a good thing to do it all by yourself. There are so many good therapists out there, and there are so many different ways of doing therapy. There are, for me, for example, I don't like talk therapy anymore so much. So I prefer craniosacral therapy, which is very body oriented, and it works wonders with me. And, it took me a lot of time to understand which form of therapy works best for me. And so, if you maybe have tried something, this can also be circles or whatever, floats your boat, and it didn't resonate, maybe you want to try something else. Because for me, it really took a long time. And it also took a long time to understand that I'm really more open or receptive to physical therapy, because my mind is just too strong. I have my own ideas, and it's very hard for another person to penetrate these ideas. And when we work with my body, these ideas just get penetrated over the biological level, and then it has a lasting effect. So yeah, but it doesn't even have to be therapy. If you're not very strongly traumatized or whatever, maybe it's enough to just meditate. But even there, it's always good to have somebody to do it with you. Yeah, we really forgot this in today's society, and I believe it's also because we focus so much on the superficial stuff. It's because we focus so much on everything has to be nice, and it has to be pain-free, and it shouldn't trigger, and it should look nice, and it should you should speak in a soft voice and all of these kind of things. And best is if you look like a Kardashian, so there is almost no identity left. And I love the Kardashians, but I don't like the way they look. Or they started looking in the past years. So, it's really, I think it's just a byproduct, that the more we go into this superficial way of being, the more we forget how important connection is, because connection is not important in the superficial levels. Connection is important in the moments that life really sucks. Like when one day your mom will die, and then no car that you could ever buy will fill that hole. Actually, nothing will ever fill that hole. But if you have friends that are able to take care of you in such moments, then you have everything you need in life. So having people that you feel connected to is actually the most precious and the most valuable thing in life that you could ever have. Yet we all struggle to connect, because that's also something that nobody taught us. We don't have a lot of role models when it comes to connecting with other people. We have a lot of role models when it comes to criticizing other people and judging other people, especially if you're a millennial that's like a son or daughter to a boomer. But we don't really have this like compassion for each other, or the understanding that we are all different and in that we are the same. So I believe that that's really like our job to do now, and we do it anyways by just being who we are, to really like go into the depth of where do we find connection and where are the people that I can do this with. You know, they can be closer or further away. Like I do a lot of intense work with people that I don't see very often. Yeah, but they just come to the same dance ceremonies like I go. And when we are there, it's a very sacred space, and we for sure transform also each other's shadows, so to speak. But this doesn't have to be like your best buddy that you go to therapy with, or that you do therapy with, or something like that, you know. It's just like, I found in creativity, I found a very big way of being with pain and being with my feelings that doesn't overwhelm me. Because I have like this canvas in front of me, or like an empty book that I want to write a song text into, or I have this like paper where I write a melody down. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm ready to kind of have this emotion here, or have this pain here. And then for sure, first, like, I will have to feel the pain. So I will have to cry or whatever. But that's just part of the process, you know, because what's very deep in our brains is that crying is a bad thing, and it just isn't. So first of all, I will cry, and it's a very integral part of the process. And then I will really feel the pain. And then I will speak from this place. And no matter if it's with color or with words or with a melody. And when I speak from this place, what I produce is so beautiful, and it's so touching. It's just so touching that like even my mom, that isn't really like thinking like as spiritually as I do, like gets goosebumps when I read the song texts to her. And like, you know, like it's just a level of depth that I reach in my creative production when I am with this pain and when I embody this pain. And it's so fascinating and so beautiful that to me, I really very strongly believe that pain is this huge accelerator. Yeah, it's kind of like a motivator as well. I mean, I would never be where I am today if there wasn't so much pain within me. And I'm so grateful for it. Yeah, because also, like, as I said, no, we have this connotation that pain is bad, but it's not bad. It's just a signal. It's actually super healthy to feel pain, because also, like, if you feel pain about how the world is going, well, that's good, because this world is going to shit. But it's important to not identify with it. It's important to be like, okay, that's how I feel about the world, but I can't change the world on my own. So I have to arrange myself within this world in a way that feels good to me. And for that, I have to know how I feel, and how I sense, and how I think, and how I envision life. And then I can go into action and create that life. Or I actually will just create it by my frequency due to the laws of resonance. When I really know what it is. And to know what it is, I need to be with the pain. And yeah, so I just got a new like painting from an artist in Germany. She draws like this portrait in a very beautiful, wild way. And when she channeled me, she saw this peacock. And I'm very closely connected to Tibetan Buddhism since a very early age. It was actually the first spiritual practice I was doing when I was like 12 or 13. And she told me that when she channeled me, she saw this peacock woman, this spirit. And she knew that in Tibetan Buddhism, or in Tibet in total, the peacock actually, it has the ability to drink poison and then transform this poison into the beautiful colors that you can see in its wheel. So in Tibet, the peacock stands for the ability to transform emotional energy into wisdom energy. And I didn't know that before, but that's exactly what I was doing with that practice of, just like, as I said in the beginning, of being with pain and being with the things, this Tibetan Buddhist practice. So I really loved that she saw this, and I really feel that that's kind of what I really want to live in this world, and also what I want to teach others or show them how to really be with everything that is, no matter how comfortable it is. Because every time you actually drink the poison and you actually confront whatever uncomfortable thing there is, you will have more colors in your wheel. Because I don't believe that that's just something that some people do. It's something that we all are able to do. We can transform our own energy, or the energy of our emotions, into energy of wisdom through transformation, through reflection of what's going on and being with what's going on, instead of just wanting it to go away, of fighting it all the time or running away from it all the time, just being with it. Also not freezing with it, just like sitting with it. With that, we can all transform what hurts us into something that inspires us and that gives us actually love and the feeling of lightness and positivity. So yeah, that was my little TED talk about why I think that pain is a good thing and why I believe that it's a good thing to confront it. Like, I really hope you liked it. And yeah, what I also wanted to say is, like, that's, I think, a little bit also why I really don't like to numb myself when I get tattoos, because it's a little bit the same process there. Like, having so many tattoos and going through so much physical pain because I chose to do so, not because I needed to go through it, really made me stronger in a sense as well. Because as I said, I'm hypersensitive, so like pain is always, like, physical pain is a strong thing for me, because I really feel my physical body in a very strong way, like more than other people do. And that's why I was dissociated for so long, because it was way more than other people have to deal with. And still going through the tattooing process and having this pain that I just have to be with because I want this beautiful picture. And here we are again with the peacock, no? It's painful to drink the poison, but it gives a beautiful picture in the form of that blaze of colors in the wheel. And it's the same with a tattoo. You go through the process of pain to actually have this beautiful picture inked in your skin. And I believe that's why, I don't know, to me, I have 2 tattoos that I had to numb for different reasons, but there were like reasons that we couldn't work around it. Like, I was traveling, so I had to travel on and we couldn't finish it otherwise. And it felt weird. It didn't really feel like the full ritual. And it just, like, for sure, like, my ego was super happy, but after the numbing cream effect faded away, I actually was hurting a lot more than the other times where I didn't get numbing cream. So yeah, I just believe that for my understanding of what a tattoo is to me, I really want to feel the pain, simply because it's also my body needs to understand that something is happening. By numbing the body, what you also do is you take away the pain signal in the brain. So the brain is not aware that something is happening. So you actually take the body out of the equation. You take the body's consciousness out of the equation. And that's not really what I aim for when I get tattooed or when I tattoo people, is to connect more of the self and the soul. Yeah, it's always about shamanic, like lost soul parts retrieval, or however you want to call it. And it's not about dissociating more. It's not about ripping both worlds apart even more, because that's what we do when we overstep the borders of the physical body and just say, oh yeah, you have this very strong alarm signal, like you actually shout at me that you can't take it anymore, so I'll just numb you down. And most of the times that's actually what we do with ourselves internally as well. And then we do it on the outside with painkillers or with numbing cream and all these things. So I just don't believe that the easy way out is the way to go in no matter which sense. Yeah. And so I believe, like, if we respect the body and we go with the body's signals and we take time out and we really work with what we can or can't do in this scenario, no matter if it's like having to take longer breaks in between tattoo sessions, like, maybe only tattoo for 2.5 hours and then wait for 2 weeks and then continue. Like, whatever your body needs. Not all bodies need the same, because as we also, our bodies are not all the same. But just like, treating it with respect. And I'm not a person that did this all the time, yeah, with my own body. But I really learned that every time I overstepped its boundaries, like, I really broke a bond between me and my body, and I broke a bond, like the relationship between me and my body was kind of more fractured because I overstepped what my body was telling me. So yeah, I hope this made sense. My body tells me now that I should stop recording because I'm in really much pain now. But yeah, I really hope this was interesting. And as I said in the beginning, I will take 2 weeks off now, and we will speak again in the beginning of January. And in Celtic culture, from the 25th, I think, to the 7th of January, we have like this, they're called the Rauhnacht or Rauhnächte, which is like rough nights or raw nights. And it's like the nights that actually are kind of like between the worlds. So the energy normally is rather quiet, but there is a lot of mythical and mystical stuff happening. So yeah, you might want to enjoy that a little bit too. And I really hope that you maybe get some new insights during this time and that you feel a lot of love during this holiday season and that everything in your life is the way you want it to be. And yeah, if you want to have a session with me regarding this whole pain story, I have this new offer. It's like 30 minutes with me on Zoom online, where we can work on transformation or orientation or connection or relaxation. And the payment is you can give what you can. So there is no fixed price on this. So just so you know, like, if you need any assistance or something, feel free to write me an email. Okay, so I wish you a lovely, lovely 2 weeks ahead. Enjoy the time in between worlds. And I can't wait to hear you again in the beginning of January. Take care, my loves. Bye-bye.